Hello. Happy New Year to all of you. Who have I got on here today? Who have I got? I've got Michelle, I have Paula, and I bet you that's Maria that's on a laptop. That's my guess. Yep. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, Paula. It's good to see you. I'm glad you came. You guys, Happy New Year. And anybody that has any questions, anything, and they can put in the Q&A, they can chat. Tell me you can see me. Tell me you can hear me. Tell me you're ready to rock and roll. Tell me you're all ready. You're all ready. I know you are. Okay, so like I can see you, I can hear you. That's Maria. Maria, you know you don't have your name on your laptop, and I'm pretty sure that's you. Maria, are you here? Just tell me yes if you're here, and let me see if that's your laptop. You're the only one. Yep, that's you, Maria. Okay, good, good, good. Okay. All right. Now, I've been thinking about you guys, thinking about what we're going to talk about. And this is what I've decided right here. I think that you guys, for all of us, don't understand how to say no. And I love the sentence that no is a complete sentence. And I would love for all of you to embrace that for the new year, is how to do it and do it in a way that actually will start feeling a little bit more comfortable for you. So I actually have a little article that I want to read to you, but before I read it, I just have to show you because I couldn't get it on my screen today. It is the best day ever, again. And if you see down at the bottom of there, I have these little things that I like to put around the house, and I laminated it, and one of it is called The Truth. It will set you free, which is kind of our topic for today. And the coaching that I want to do on it is what's so hard about it for you, what gets in your way. And this kind of inspired me when I was talking to you, Maria, a little bit. And then I realized basically everybody that I'm talking to on the phone kind of has the same thing. Okay, so best day ever, great mantra, no matter what, find a way to believe it. And then know that the truth will set you free, your truth. Okay, so let me, and nobody really asked me and said anything they want to be coached on. So you know what that means? That means that I just call on anybody that I want about anything. So if you decide that you do want to be coached on something, because I know a lot of people are waiting for it and today they're not. So if one of you wants to be coached, then you can also just raise your hand. Oh, goody. Hi, Heidi. You just got on. Goody. Okay. So if anybody wants to be coached, you can raise your hand, but don't do it quite yet. Because first I want to show you something. I love this. I just found this article because I was looking for it because I love to use it. So this is called The 7 Biggest Mistakes for Saying No. Can you guys read this? I wrote it pretty little because I wanted to get it all on here. Can you see it? Can somebody just tell me if they see it? Read it. Can you read it? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So these are the 7 biggest mistakes. And then I want to read you a little bit about each one. And I want you really to think about it. So if I decide to coach you today, you can think about these. Okay. So the 7 biggest mistakes that people make when they say no. So number 1 is waiting till they're put on the spot. And this is what it says. Most people never actually take time to ask themselves about their no's. They wait until they're put on the spot, and then they let their emotions, guilt, fear, and anxiety make their decisions for them. While you can't be prepared for every request that comes your way, you can get clear on your no's in advance. I call this the proactive no. I kind of like this. So write your list of proactive no's on a day off, like no volunteer positions on weekends, no more committees, no Sunday night dinner parties. Get clear about what you want to honor your time, how you want to honor your time and your priorities. And that way, when you say no, it'll be simple. I really like that. And I bet for all of you, you've got one thing where you're thinking to yourself, that's the last time I'm ever doing that again. I know you all have that. I really want you to think about. And that maybe can be up in the center of your head that you always know that if anybody asks you about that you're going to get clear on how to say no about that. Okay, here's number 2. Over-explaining. I love this one. Rather than saying a clear no, many people try to explain their way out of it. which only digs them deeper into their muck. When you over-explain yourself, you embody uneasiness. Over-explaining says, I don't really mean this, so I'm trying to find proof. You don't know anybody like that, do you? Okay, what about this? Using disempowered language. Now I want you to listen to this. Language is a key element of effective no saying. Empowered language is clear, firm, compassionate, and keeps the focus on the issue. Most people get so nervous and distracted that they ultimately do themselves a disservice by speaking at all. They ramble through the territory of the sort of, kind of, and you know. Empowered language stops the rambling. I'm getting clear on my priorities, so I'm cutting back on the extra activities in my life. Simple. And what's anybody going to say? They don't like it? Oh, well. But I really want you to think. So empowered thoughts stops the rambling. You say, I'm getting clear on my priorities, so I'm cutting back on the extra activities in my life. In order to honor that intention, I need to say no. Thanks for understanding. You guys might want a copy of this to remember how to say this. I just love it. It's just like, I'm getting clear on my priorities, so I'm cutting back on the extra activities in my life. In order to honor that intention, I need to say no. Thanks for understanding. Just assuming they understand. Okay, trying to get approval. This is like my favorite. Oh, I keep saying they're all my favorite. Rather than simply turning something down, many people try to campaign for their no. They want to say no. They want to say no, but that's not enough. They also want parties involved to approve of their no and agree with their no and not be mad at them for saying no. Saying no means that most people might be disappointed in you, and that's their stuff. You guys understand the model? It's their model. Accept that. Give them the gift of allowing their disappointment and give yourself the gift of having preferences. Like that? Hoping people will just get it. Not responding at all. Putting the request off for a week. Avoiding eye contact. These are the dances we do, hoping the people will just get it. The problem with this approach is not that you're not being nice to other people. You're not being nice to other people. The problem is that you aren't being complete with yourself. These little non-nos are actually draining your creative energy. Stop the leaks and say no in the moment. 6, promising something they don't mean. There's a Friends episode, oh, this is probably like a long time ago, when Ross's new girlfriend asked him where the relationship is going. And Ross admits to his friends that he doesn't want the relationship to go anywhere. But rather than stating that to his girlfriend, Ross gives her the keys to his apartment and tells her he loves her. Promising something they don't mean. Okay, it's a funny episode because it shows how much energy and integrity we lose when we dishonor our own preferences and desires, all in an effort to avoid another person's disappointment. I've coached a lot of you, you know, they're talking to you. They're talking to me too. It's like, it's such an odd thing about how we will disempower ourselves and lie to ourselves and lie to other people. And that's what I was talking to about Maria a couple times ago, about the whole idea is that when you say no, when you say yes, when you mean no, you're just lying. You're lying to them, you're lying to yourself, and you have to live with that. And the last thing is giving into guilt. When you say no, you might have to deal with some guilt. And at first, being on your own side is scary. This is why some people cave in as soon as the discomfort of guilt arises. Within a week, they change their mind and opt back into the thing they didn't want to do in the first place. Wavering and waffling sends shaky messages to everyone involved, including yourself. Allow the guilt and just experience. You'll get more comfortable with it after a little practice. Let's face it, saying no is uncomfortable sometimes. But once you experience the clarity and the space that comes from saying no successfully, you'll never want to go back to the way that you used to do it. You guys like that? Was it helpful? Hey, hello, anybody? What do you think? Okay. Yes from Maria, especially you, Maria. After we just talked. Yes, Heidi, good. All right. So that's what I have for you this morning. And now I want to coach somebody. So since nobody wants to be or nobody said they want to be coached, I think what I'm going to do is I've got 4 of you. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring all 4 of you up. Not me, please. Okay, Paula, I won't call on you. Nobody has to be called on. I mean, is there anybody that doesn't want to be called on? I think that's probably, thank you, Paula, for telling me that. Is there anybody else that does not want to be called on? Going once, going twice. Just checking. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do then is I am going to, I think I'm going to just bring everybody up. I think that sounds like fun. All right. Maria, I'm promoting you right now to a panelist. First, I'm going to let you talk. You can talk, and now I'm going to bring you up. I'm going to promote you to a panelist, and you're going to have to turn your video on, and I'm going to have to let you. So hold on for a second.
Okay.
Okay. You're allowed to start your own video now, so go right ahead. It should work.
All right.
There you go. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I'm going to bring some more people up. We're going to have a party. All right. Heidi, you're coming next. I'm going to allow you to talk. You should be able to talk to me now. And I'm going to bring you up. I'm going to promote you to a panelist. Heidi, are you there?
Here I am.
Okay, good. Hi, Heidi.
Hello.
Okay. All right. Let me get Michelle up here. And Paula, you can just talk to me through Q&A if you want to talk to me through Q&A, or you don't have to say anything. And Michelle, you're good with coming on, even though you're so great, you don't even need any coaching. So you said. Okay, so I'm going to promote you to panelist. All right, and that brings everybody up that's supposed to be up here.
Let's see here.
Okay. Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you too. Good. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay, and can you see everybody else too?
Yes, I can. And hear them too. Yep.
Okay. So, is this what I read? Is this helpful? About no?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So who, I can just call on somebody, but who would like to be coached specifically on this, or what they noticed? Because I think the holidays bring this up. That's why I'm bringing it on, because it's, I think, like, if you don't, I think the gift of the holidays is it brings you up into focus a little bit better for yourself, what it triggers in you. And so, like, I think one of the main things that it triggers is that how do you say no so that you can kind of honor what's going to work best for you, and at the same time do the right thing, whatever that right thing is for you, without becoming a liar in your own life. So Maria, you're on the screen right now, and I talked to you already about this, but I would think I'll start with you just a little bit, because we did a little private coaching, and Maria has a problem saying no. Let's just put it like that.
Yep. I'm a liar.
Just a liar. Okay. But here's the thing. Like, we don't use it against us when we say that, right? It's to be the observer and kind of be funny about it, right? That
right.
How, like, we're so afraid to be truthful, and we would never call ourselves a liar, and yet we can't be truthful when it comes to honoring what we really need.
Right.
So one of the things that came up with you, Maria, is when we were talking about serving on committees, which is something that you're purposeful and passionate about doing it. But you say yes to a lot of things that you don't want to do once you get on the committee, right? And the thing that we uncovered when I was coaching you was the thought that was really in your way was that you believed it was easier for you just to do it by yourself.
Right.
After a lot of coaching, that's what came up. And that is where we left it. Right. Is to really understand that the unintentional model is that you believe that it's easier for you just to do all the stuff than ask other people to do it.
Right. When it's really not easier.
Because what happens in your A line is you end up overextending yourself and then thinking poorly of the people who are on your committee
Right.
who aren't doing things, and why are they just sitting there watching you do all these things? And what
Mhm.
is there? You get angry at everybody.
And yeah, angry, resentful.
Angry and resentful. Okay, so this comes in. The reason I'm bringing you up is because what I left you with is that really the crux of the problem is that why are you afraid to speak up and say no when you don't want to do something?
Right. It's I've thought a lot about that.
Good.
I know it gets into that, not wanting to disappoint people. And I do get into the over explaining and then wrap myself around and then I'll let other people convince me that, oh yeah, you can do that really well. So why don't you keep doing that, instead of standing firm.
Okay. So why do you think it would be hard for you just to stand firm and say no, like no, that word, a complete sentence? What do you think comes up for you if you have to do that?
Appearing weak, not capable, not able to be organized, I guess.
So that's what you think if you say no, is that's what you
Mhm.
believe about yourself.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's why for you, it's easier to say yes to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually it proves that you are strong and you are powerful and you can take care of things.
Right. And juggle a million things at once. Yeah.
Right. And that's what gives you almost your identity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Is who are you? If you're not saying yes to everything.
Right. Right. Exactly. My identity is wrapped up into that.
Okay. So here's the thing. The reason that you love to do, and we're talking about committees right now.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But it probably isn't
can be
just that.
Right. And I think back to when I was raising my kids, and there was a lot of that similar, was just easier sometimes to take on things that I know that my kids and my family probably could have helped me with. But
okay, so just stop for a minute so everybody can hear that you just said that thought again. It's just easier for me.
Right.
Did you hear yourself say that?
Yeah. Yes. I caught myself right after I said it. Yeah.
That's right. So it's easier for me is really, you have to see the damage of that thought.
Right.
Circumstantially, we can just say, we're just saying taking on responsibility,
right. Responsibilities.
That's all. I'm just doing that. But just to have a specific circumstance. But when you think it's easier for me, how does it make you feel? We did this at the end, but I think you all have to see this, because it sounds like what she's saying to herself is like, yeah, it's just better for me to do it.
Initially we were talking how I felt resigned and by default, but also the feelings of anger and resentment came up.
Right. But so when you think it's easier for me, how does it make you feel? Is it resigned? Is it powerful? It's like, I really, it's like, what happens when you think that thought? Because you think it a lot and you say it to yourself a lot, and it's almost like it frees you to go do that stuff. Well, like I would do it too. If I thought that, like, if it's easier, of course I would do it.
Right.
I'm always looking for an easier way.
Maybe I'm trying to prove it to myself.
How's it making you feel when you say it? Like, I don't really think it's a positive feeling.
No, it's not a positive feeling. I know there's some anger issues in there because I do feel angry.
Yeah. Oh, it's easier. It's like that in your head. It's just easier
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
And it does almost like, can you feel it in your body when you think that thought and feel it? Can you feel the anger in your body?
Yes. Yes. I felt it in the pit of my stomach.
Exactly.
Now.
Exactly. And so then what you do is, what do you do?
Well, I do it all. I take on the jobs or the things that need to be done.
You take on other people's responsibilities.
Mhm. Don't have time for myself.
Yeah. And like, don't you just like ruminate in your head
Ruminate.
about how
Yes.
terrible all those people are?
Mhm. Well, not really, but
What? Well, what does your anger do?
I don't know, because I thought about this over the weekend, and it's like, in some twisted way, I want to reward myself, possibly.
Oh, when you think it's easier for me?
Well, when I take on the other jobs, it's like, oh, I've got, I'm doing this, this, and this, and this. Now I can pat myself on the back. I can reward myself.
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's a way of feeling good about it makes you feel better about yourself.
It does make me feel accomplished. It's a challenge that I take on, and when I complete it, I feel successful. But along the way, it's really difficult.
It makes you feel accomplished and resentful. It's not like you're just accomplished. You don't feel right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what's the result of taking on other people's responsibilities? Don't have time for yourself. You make yourself feel accomplished and resentful at the same time. So it's like really confusing.
Right. I'm very conflicted. So I proved to myself that I need to do it. I proved to myself that I need to continue to do these things, and I make it harder for myself. It's not easier.
Right. So a lot of times when you have a thought like that, it's still very connected, the result. It's just the opposite.
Right.
Right. It's like you think that you're making it easier on yourself, but really in reality, when you see the A line, because this is one of the places where you're going to definitely want to overeat, right?
Yes, definitely. Reward myself.
It's like overeat.
Don't have time to exercise.
Yeah, because you don't have time for yourself.
Right.
So actually, in the end, you make it harder. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can, because then I don't feel as good about myself. And
then you beat yourself up. Then you go in
that negative spin cycle.
And that is why the power of being able to say no is so powerful, is because it stops this whole cycle.
I like your statement about being proactive and making your no list ahead of time.
I like that too for you.
Yeah. So I'm going to do that.
You know what you really don't want to do.
Right. I do.
Right. And so it's like and I think this is really good for everybody else. It's to keep it really simple when you start saying no. If you have a hard time saying no, like I know, Michelle, probably your hardest times are when it comes to having to say no to people if they want to come visit you, or, well, that's exactly one of the where you get, or when you're going somewhere, you want to do something, but you don't really want to do it, and you don't really want to say no, but you really don't. Right. It's that wavering.
Yeah.
And you think that that's easier. Like, I think you think that too, Michelle. You think it's easier just to kind of waver like that and just say yes. Oh, it's just easier. I don't have to talk.
Right.
I'll just be miserable. I'll just put up with it. And when I'm miserable and just putting up with all this stuff, somehow I'm going to do something against myself, which is not going to make it easier. And really the reason that we're all on this call is because we're trying to make it easier on ourselves. But we're telling ourselves things that aren't true, and we're not questioning that thought.
Right.
Well, when I hear you guys talking, I'm thinking that she wants to reward herself. And, maybe I could reward myself by saying no to begin with and just
Yeah.
skipping all that crap.
Thank you.
But
Okay.
but it's hard. And I think the last thing on the number 7, where the thing about giving into guilt is that,
Yes.
if I say no to, say, people coming to visit me,
Yep.
I am going to feel a little bit uncomfortable.
You
about
are.
it. No, but that's just like any other negative
That's
emotion,
right.
and what I've come to learn is that my sweet little, primitive brain tries
That's
really
right.
hard to help me avoid pain. And so
Right.
it goes this short circuit of eat and numb out, or just say yes and don't think about it. But if I think about it ahead of time and I have that list of no's, it's maybe
Yeah.
easier to say no, but I still am going to there's still going to be that, probably for a while or whatever, there's going to be this little guilt thing. And I just have
I
to learn
like
to sit
that.
with it. I have
Yeah.
to sit with it,
I like
because
that.
I'd rather sit with the guilt up front in my own head than
In your
sit
body,
with
not
a
in your
week
head.
of guests and feel pissed at myself that I'm not enjoying them because I should have put a limit out there first. It's just like, do I want a little bit of pain by saying no up front, or do I want to go into that whole cycle of, feeling bad about myself because I'm not enjoying my guests because they came for too long, and then eating
You're
and doing
pissed off at your guest.
right, which is stupid because I want them to come. There's like a piece of me that wants them to come, but like if I don't say come for 3 days instead of 10 days, it's only my own self to blame, which is not a good feeling.
So
Not that the guilt at the beginning is a good feeling, but I mean, I'm thinking it's a better feeling than all the rest of this cycle of this crap that just is very hard to untangle.
well, if you are I think you guys could look at it as an urge.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I like what you said, Michelle, about that, because it's like when you have an urge to eat something, when you know you're not hungry and you know it's not going to give you
Yeah.
anything you want, and yet that urge is so strong that it feels like it would feel so much more pleasant if you would just give into it.
Short term.
Right. In the moment, it does seem easier.
Mhm.
That's why I'm so into that thought that you came up with, Maria, because I think it comes up a lot, even when urges to eat.
Yeah.
It's just
Mhm.
easier to eat. It's easier than
Yeah.
having to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to think about this, is that maybe it's easier to feel uncomfortable for a little bit to feel more comfortable in your own skin long term.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's compliments of how Michelle talked about it. It really gave me a really good idea about that. See, because what you're saying to yourself, it's better this way. Like I would rather just give in to all these people and just do everything myself and let them think I'm amazing and let me think that they think I'm amazing. And so I'm getting all of this approval, and then you become the approval whore again.
Right.
But you have to deal with all of the fallout from that. It's like, it's not really in the end like you feel fantastic. You don't. But in the end, if you're willing to feel the guilt, just like when you're wanting to eat something, the urge to say yes instead of no, the urge to say yes to a donut when you don't want it, it's the exact same feeling inside of you somewhere. So if you're willing to feel that and know that it's going to make you stronger and not weaker, because you think it's the opposite.
Right.
You think you're strengthening yourself by saying yes.
Right.
Yeah, Paula relates to the approval whore. Yeah, she relates to that. I know you do, Paula. Okay, so let's think of something. Heidi, you want to chime in on this a little bit before I start going to a more intentional model?
I'm just thinking, I'm sorry, I had to mute myself because my dogs were barking.
Yeah, fine.
That just was really, what you said at the very end there was very profound in terms of eating the donut to short-term feel good when the long-term consequences suck. Like saying yes to, what I just did yesterday, which I want to say yes to, but I have to be careful with it. Volunteering at my girls' school for the theater program, which I'm in charge
You want me to coach you on that?
uh,
That would be a great circumstantial thing to coach you on.
yeah, I do that, and I love it, and I really do delegate better now.
Okay, but wait a minute. This is for everybody because this
Okay.
happens all the time.
Okay.
Just because you love it doesn't mean you have to say yes.
Mm.
It is such a booby trap because I hear it from everybody all the time. That's why people overschedule. Well,
Mhm.
I'm doing things I love. Well, I love that. I love this. I love that. I want to do that. I'll go like, it doesn't matter. It's kind of the same thing. You can love a donut too.
Yeah.
You can keep eating because the food tastes so good and you love it and you're full. You got to stop.
Yeah.
So you have to watch that, Heidi, because I'm sure I've been around you long enough. I know that gets in your way because there's a lot of things you love.
Mhm.
And it sounds like another one of those, I'm just doing myself a favor.
Yeah.
I'm being good to myself. And you have to go for, and this is why it's important to you and why you're telling me, like, why you want to be coached on this, even if you didn't know it, because you're basically saying, this is exactly what happened yesterday, but I love it.
Well, it's
But it
true, and it does things like, last night I got word from the head of the theater program that she needed an email sent out, and I was going to go to bed at 11 o'clock, and I instead worked on the email and didn't get to bed till midnight. So, I definitely have a people pleaser problem. I have a, sure, I'll do it problem. Sure, I'll feel really good if I get it done now, and then I won't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm. It's easier if I just get it done now, just like Marie. It's the exact same thought. Just another way of saying it.
Yeah.
Right. And the only person that really suffers is you, but you tell yourself, oh, you wanted to do it. Oh, look, now you got it done. Now don't you feel better that it's done, even though it's midnight? You tell yourself things that make you believe what you did was good, even though it doesn't feel good. And it's the not feeling good that you need to deal with in the beginning when something is telling you, no. Your no inside of you is what you want to be able to connect to. And what I think all of you, and including myself, the guilt that comes up when you need to do that for yourself is what you really want to learn. And to be able, just like when you want something to eat, it is no different. And you say no to yourself, you know that you're better off without it. You've done it many, many times. Yeah?
Yeah.
Heidi?
Yes.
You all know, right? It's the same thing. I really love the analogy of the urge.
Yeah.
And it's the urge to say yes.
Yeah.
Instead of being able to take a deep breath
And breathe.
before you say anything.
So
it's
kind of like,
wait, listen.
I'm
You
sorry.
have to be willing to feel. I like what Michelle said. You have to be willing. It's not like you're going to do it and then go, oh, that was just great. I love it. I can't wait to do it again. It is not going to be like that.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to feel good. You're going to feel guilty. That's what I love about what that said. You will feel guilty. Okay, go ahead, Heidi.
Well, I was just going to say that the analogy to the food is so great because I've learned as a mom, now for 29 years of 4 kids, that I think it feels good to do for them. It feels good to put my shit aside so that I can do things for them. It feels good to eat the food in the moment too, but I think like planning your food ahead of time, planning your nose ahead of time can be very helpful.
I love that. Planning your nose ahead of time, just like you plan your food ahead of time.
Because then you're not in the emotion when you're making the decision. And it has to be a no when you're feeling, I just want a little something to eat. Because that's the trap for me is, well, I didn't plan that. Really hungry and I'm probably a negative too. And well, if you didn't plan it, then you got to say no.
And how's that working for you?
Well, I know it intellectually, but I still find ways to talk myself out of it.
But you also find ways to stick to it too.
Yes.
Let me just say that because so you don't convince me the other way. I want everybody to see that. So let's look at your unintentional thought on this theater program, because what I want to do in the end is I want to come into an intentional model that everybody can buy into, because we're all realizing that it's not like you're going to sidetrack negative emotion. You are going to feel negative emotion when you say no. Right? So you got to welcome it. Oh, yeah, I knew it was coming. And deal with it however it is that you have to feel it, knowing that if you let it pass and allow it through, don't push it away. Don't tell yourself things that aren't going to be helpful. Yes, that's guilt. Welcome. I knew you were coming.
Well, and I think for me, one of the
Yeah.
things that's really helpful is to remember that my sweet little primitive brain
Yeah.
is trying so hard to keep me from experiencing any pain. And I
Correct.
appreciate that.
Yeah, good.
But my prefrontal cortex understands, just like with a screaming toddler, that if I do what my sweet little primitive brain wants to short circuit, there's going to be long-term problems because of that. You know,
How do
so it's
you,
like,
yes.
yeah.
So
So it's
how
like
do
saying, thank you, primitive brain. I see you're trying to turn on. You're trying to
Yeah.
just say yes, because it's easy in the minute, and I won't have to deal with that guilt or that anxiety right now, or I won't have to deal with that urge or whatever right now. Thank you for trying, but you know, you don't have my long-term interest at heart in the way that I really want. And that's my prefrontal cortex planning ahead, or saying, oh, here comes that guilt. I welcome that, because that's going to help me develop this new super highway in my brain that allows me to say no more often, or allows me to refuse the urge more often.
Yeah.
But I'm having to really thank my little primitive brain for doing its really darndest work for me to make me to
Thank you for sharing.
I really like that, because what you're doing is you're allowing the emotion to go through.
Mhm.
Right? That's the difference between allowing something and resisting something. It's like, I shouldn't be feeling this. Oh my God, as opposed to, of course. And when you can go, of course, it's just like if you want something to eat and you're not hungry and you don't want to eat it, of course you're going to feel that discomfort not eating. But the more you feel that discomfort, the less discomfort you end up feeling over time, which is the same thing with this. The more you learn how to say no and allow yourself to feel the guilt, the less guilt you're going to feel over time. If you let yourself, because you're afraid, I think what we do is we tend to stay away from the guilt. Ooh, I just don't want to feel that way. So I'll say yes. So then it makes it much easier. It's much easier for me to say yes. If I say yes, I don't have to feel guilty.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And not only that, for Maria, she thinks she gets all these side benefits. Oh, people think I'm fantastic. People think I can do a million things, because it's very important to you what other people think of you when you're doing a committee.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, Maria, the main reason you do these committees is because you are passionate about improving your community. That is your main reason.
Yeah.
And if you can use that and be willing to feel guilty to be able to say no, excuse me, or to delegate, it would strengthen you.
Right.
So that's the thing. It's like, it's actually easier to say no, not easier to say yes. And I don't know if I can get that on the model for you guys, but boy, that's like turning that same thought around. It's actually easier for me to say no.
No.
It's really not easier for me to say yes. I mean, the only reason it's not easier to say no is because of the negative emotion you're going to feel from it, from not doing it very often. Everything else is you end up having more time for yourself. You end up being able to give to yourself, and you end up feeling like you're being clear and honest with yourself, like you're being your very own best friend. That feels really good, I got to tell you, when you can do it. So Heidi, come here with me on this theater program.
See, that's like a foreign language to me, because
okay, so just wait a minute. Watch how you think about it. Because everybody, did they hear the thought she just said? that thought alone is not helpful. That's like a foreign language to me. So if you're going to say something that hard on yourself, at least say up until now.
Okay.
Use that after that. Because seriously, you'll never see things the same way again.
Okay.
So what's coming up for you? Tell me.
Just that my life for the last 35 years has been, do I have enough time to do it? If I have time to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
My husband of 32 years didn't hardly do anything. So I took on all that. So for me, it was a question of, do I have time? I don't really
want to
need
stop you. I
much.
want to stop you for just a second.
Yeah.
The thought that my husband of 32 years didn't do much, so I had to do everything, is such a harmful thought. You're not reporting the news to me. I know you think you are. There are facts there, I'm sure, but that isn't a fact.
Oh, okay.
I just want you to see it because it causes a lot of pain when you say it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. He did participate. Yes.
Well, I'm sure in the Sea Line he did things.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure in the Sea Line he didn't do things.
Yes.
But to think that you had to do everything because he didn't makes it sound like I'm ready for a pity party for you again.
Absolutely. I see that.
Poor Heidi.
Yeah, I see that.
Right? And so it's like, I think you just did what you did because it was easier.
Yeah, I agree.
Than having to do whatever you had to do with him.
Well, it's because I didn't know how. This sounds so silly, but what I keep coming back to is, like, what do I do if I'm not filling my time with all of these things? Like, what does self-care look like?
Mm-hmm.
Like sleep, I can either sleep or I can be doing. So if I don't have anything else taking up my time, I'm going to take it on, because why wouldn't I?
Right. So in your mind, as long as there's time in the, as long as there's time in the day and somebody wants something of you, you think it's fillable.
Yes.
Okay. So what's wrong with having some time?
What purpose is there in that? Just to sit? I don't know anybody else struggles with that, but I don't know what I spend plenty of time doing things that just I want to do. But I feel like if there's time, I should take on the responsibilities because I can.
I think there's a difference here. It's like, if you're saying, I have time and I want to do it, that's one thing. I don't see what the problem is with that.
Because I don't know what I would do with my time otherwise.
You're just saying yes because otherwise you're going to have too much time on your hands?
A little bit.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
I mean, that's not the only reason I'm saying yes, but I feel it's the same thing you were saying. I'm sorry, not Michelle.
Maria,
that it's like, it provides me my sense of accomplishment and my sense of worth and my sense of who I am. And I really like it when I do something and people say, wow, good for you. That's really amazing that you can do all that. Or I can't believe you can, be a mom and a lawyer and have your own business and, do acting and, that feels like, oh, that's who I am. So if I'm not that, who am I?
But why can't you be that? It's only a problem if you're not getting a result that you want.
Yeah.
If it's causing something for you.
That's what I'm looking at more, is that I can do those things, but I don't have to be doing all of them all the time in order to feel gratification. That I also need to take time to say no and to not do the things that that make me feel overwhelmed or that make me feel resentful.
I think it's
the same reason I tell my kids to unload the dishwasher, even though it would be easier to do it myself, because I know it's good for them and it's good for me. So I do
Okay,
it.
but wait a minute. Who says it would be easier for you? That's the problem. What makes you think it would be easier for you?
Because then I don't have to hear the blowback.
Because then I don't have to talk to them and I don't have to tell them. And that is exactly what Maria's saying. It's not easier.
Mhm.
Do you see how it just keeps
Right.
popping up that you keep
Yeah.
saying it's easier? What's easier is not to get negative emotion or disapproval from somebody else or to feel guilt. It's easier not to do that. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
But you have to live with yourself and you have to live inside yourself. So it's like if you're creating a lot of overwhelm for yourself because you're overextending yourself, like there's nothing wrong with creating a schedule for yourself where you're doing for other people. I have no problem with that unless it creates negative emotion for you and negative results for you. Like it's okay if you want to feel accomplished and you want to do things. I mean, I don't see a problem with it. It's, do you like the results that you're getting? About how you feel about your relationship with yourself.
Well, and therein lies the rub, because what does suffer is, me, my health, my weight,
How does it suffer?
because I don't, if I don't care for myself and if I don't take the time, to meal plan or to exercise or to do all those other things that I know I need to do, then the result is I've pleased everybody else. I look in the mirror and I struggle with what I see.
Okay, so I think your problem is you're not making enough time for yourself.
I agree.
Well, that's different than what you just said to me. You're saying, what am I going to do with my time? And you just answered it. I would spend it on myself. How would I do that? You would do it by putting it in your calendar the way you put everybody else in your calendar. Why don't you do that?
Yeah, I'm doing that. I mean, I'm working on that. I understand that.
Right, but do you see what you're saying? It's like, I just like to say yes to other people because I like to feel accomplished. But I think what it is I think you like to say yes to people because then you don't have to take care of yourself. You don't have to deal with it.
Yep. Then it's okay that I look this way because isn't everybody around me doing so well? Or that I look or feel this way,
So how do you want to think? Because the way you're thinking is creating a result you don't want. Right? Don't tell yourself, oh, I just have time and I'm just filling it with people. I mean, I have time and I give it to people who need it. It sounds very nice that you have plenty of time, extra time. And so, I mean, like if I have time and somebody asks me to do something and it's clear, of course I would do it. But, really that fine line between, even if I have the time, do I want to do it?
Yeah, that's the ticket for me. Like, even if I have the time, do I want to do it? Or are there other things about me that I can be spending the time on?
Is that possible?
Yeah, I hope so.
How would you do it? How did you do this? I want to take something very specific and just watch your mind with the theater program.
Uh-huh.
Somebody asked you to do something yesterday, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you did it. You said yes, right?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I just sent out an email about a meeting, but that means I had to put a bunch of new emails into my, address book and compose the email and send it out. And
so you got to bed late too, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, later than I had intended.
Later than what you decided was best for you.
Yes.
What your schedule was for you is that you like to be in bed. Your rule for yourself is you like to be in bed by 11.
Yes, that's my new rule. Yes.
Oh, you told me that before.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Because I know I need more sleep because I don't sleep enough and it's not healthy for me, and it's certainly not contributing to my attempts to lose weight and be healthy. I'm a chronic undersleeper, so I want to change that.
Okay. So somebody asked you to do something in the theater program.
Uh-huh.
What did you think and feel that made you say yes to do all these emails and not honor your own commitment to yourself by going to bed late?
Well, at first I thought, well, I can do it really quickly and still get to bed.
Oh, it sounds just like I'll just have a little.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'll just have a little. It's a very poisonous thought for you. You'll need to be very careful of that.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel when you think the thought, I can do it quickly?
Well, that's exactly what it's like, is I can just have a little.
Right. How does it feel when you think I can do it quickly?
Stressful.
Mind you, what time was this?
About 9:30.
And you know you're going to bed at 11.
Yeah.
That's your commitment.
Yes.
Right. So that goes out the window.
Yes.
Why?
Because it's a priority that's fungible or flexible. It doesn't, I mean, I'm a liar. Like,
Yeah, but here's why wouldn't you just say no? Like, didn't you have a feeling that it might be better not to do it? Did you not have that feeling?
I had the feeling that I'll do it tomorrow because it has to be done. It's a priority. It's something I've committed to. I'm the communications person.
Okay.
The email had to be sent and it had to be me to do it.
That's your thought, is that you had to do it.
Yeah, the meeting is Tuesday. It's news to everyone who's just been cast in the show. So the communication has to be made, and I've agreed to do the communication. So the communication has to be made, and it didn't feel to me like it could wait until today because I knew there were lots of parents that were going to be needing the information.
Okay, so that's the thought, is I can do it quickly because it can't wait.
Yes.
And basically what you say, that what happens in the A line is you tell yourself, but you can wait.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And the result is?
I didn't get to bed until about midnight, but I felt like I felt relief in that I'd done something and gotten it out of the way.
So the result really is that you did not honor your own commitment. You said it can't wait, but it could have. Tell me where I'm wrong. What would happen if you sent it out the next morning?
Yes, it could have. I didn't think it could.
Right. But what if you believed the opposite, that you didn't think that you could push off your bedtime?
Oh, yeah, that's the thought.
What if you believe that? You don't.
I don't.
Right. You believe that this was more important.
Yes.
Now, you know what? Everybody has exceptions. This is not exceptional for you, and that's what the problem is.
Yes.
Okay, so hey, there are going to be times when this is going to happen. I'm talking to those of you who this is not exceptional. Mm-hmm. This is not exceptional for you. This is the way you think. If it's just you put off, eating, sleeping, exercising, or something like that, it's okay. As long as I get it done, I feel a lot better. I fulfilled my commitment to them. I can do it quickly. It can wait. Really, the thought is my commitment to them is more important than my commitment to myself. That's
Absolutely.
really it.
Yeah.
Like, I can wait. They can't. I would do that instead. I can wait. They cannot. You guys get this?
Yes.
That's what I think goes on in a lot of our heads. It's just you. Now, exceptional? Fine. You know, it happens every now and then. For sure, you're going to put yourself off to the side. But if this is something that you do all the time and it always seems exceptional, well, you know, I'm in charge. That's Maria. Well, I'm the one that said I was going to do it. It's me. I got to do it. You convince yourself. And that is where you have to stop. So now I want to start coming around. We're going to go a little bit longer today, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, okay? With everybody? And Paula said something. Let me just see what she said. Sometimes as moms, we don't know how to be still with ourselves, but we need to figure that out. I'm learning to do that now that I am an empty nester. I will also just do things so that my college daughter doesn't feel overwhelmed, but then I am overwhelmed.
Yeah. Spot on.
Spot on. It's like, they're your teachers. It's like, I get it that they're your children. I get it that they're really, really important to you, but you still have to put yourself above them. You have to put yourself above everybody. You have to believe, because what you believe, Heidi, is you believe they're more important. Getting that email out is so much more important than you going to sleep. Even though what you said to me is if I go to sleep, I would probably lose weight easier. I would probably feel better the next day. I'm a quote unquote chronic undersleeper. You got to change that thought. You're not reporting the news to me. You're telling me something you think about yourself, like I'm a chronic undersleeper. I've never even heard that word before.
Well, I sleep about 6 hours a night. So
Well,
that's not
congratulations.
healthy.
It isn't healthy. And the only way to change it is to decide it's more important. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I mean, you can get 4 hours of sleep. Why sleep? I mean, you got 24 hours in the day. Why even bother sleeping? You could fill the whole thing up. All right. Priority.
Yeah, I feel
The
like
new year. What?
I feel like with all these scenarios, like with me and my guests or with
Yes.
anybody else, that it's like it's more important what other people think of me. Like I need other people to be approving of me rather than being approving of myself. And I'm done with that. Like I don't, like I want my children, for example, who are 13 and 15 and still at home, I want them to learn how to put themselves first and not get overwhelmed, and how to have a balance in their life, which has taken me a long time. I'm still learning it. But it's interesting because I feel like the undercurrent of a lot of this is like, well, what do other people think? What do other people think of me? Are other people approving of me? Or other people patting me on the back and saying, oh, you're doing so much, and oh, you're such a great hostess? But like, screw that. I want to feel good about myself, because then I'll be an even better hostess, or I'll be even, if I only say yes to a few things, I will really enjoy them and do them better. But I mean, there's just like undercurrent of like, what do other people think of us? As opposed to like, what do I think of me?
What do you think of you? Not only that, would you be willing to think enough of yourself to put yourself ahead of everybody?
And to approve of my own self, like let my own approval of my own self be as important as other people's approval of me. Like, wow, I went to bed on time. Wow, I said no to those guests. Wow, I only committed to what I really wanted to do. And like, that is what feeds me, as opposed to like all these external people having opinions of me that build me up.
Plus, you don't really know how they feel about you.
True.
This is the thing, is we go in people's heads thinking, if I say yes a lot, they're going to really approve. We don't really know what they're thinking. Right? But all I know is how I feel when I'm around somebody that's very clear with me. I feel clear. I feel like I know what they're saying to me.
Mhm.
Like, and it feels different. The energy feels different to me. And it's like, you guys think that by creating this energetic field around you that's really not true. Like, you guys think about energy that you can feel it sometimes? Like, am I saying something that's too woo-woo for you guys?
Mm.
Okay. So when you're saying no, yes, when you mean no, you're creating some kind of this energy field around you that never feels good. At some level, people feel it, including you. It just doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
And the whole idea of boundaries is having clean boundaries. I love being around people where I just know they say what they mean and they mean what they say. And
Yeah.
so I like being like that. I like being that, like when I talk to you, what I say is what I say.
Have you always been that way, Dr. Deb? Or is that the work for you?
Well, no, I think it's a lot of work for me too. And, you know, in many ways, I learned how to say no early on, and actually saying yes is harder. So actually, I have more work to do on saying yes than saying no. But the whole idea, it's like still, you know, I want people to be happy with me. I do.
I just loved like when we first started working together and you said, you know, if you send me an email, I'll respond, you know, within 24 hours. If it's on the weekend, don't expect to hear from me. And I thought, oh my God, that's so awesome. Like I would love to be able to set that boundary for myself, you know?
That's what I'm saying, Heidi. It's like when you're on the other end of it, it's not like you hate it.
No, I thought it was badass and
You thought it was badass. Well, why won't you do it? Why don't you want to be badass?
I do want to be badass. I'm working on it.
I
working
know.
on turning my phone off at a certain point at night. I haven't determined when that can be, but it's going to happen. It's
Okay,
really
so you got to do more than work on it. And you have to do more than try.
like Yoda, right? There is no try.
There
Either
you go.
do or don't, right?
I mean, really for you, Heidi, it's like, what time are you turning your phone off?
Yeah. Yeah.
What time are you going to bed? It's like, before we get off this call, make it a done deal. You think it's going to feel comfortable?
No.
It's going to feel terrible.
No.
Expect it, but do it. And if you can do it long enough, it will feel natural.
Okay.
Do it for yourself. Let's do it in tiny steps. So I really want to think of a model for all of you. We're going like one model, intentional model for how to start being truthful. The truth will set you free. You can start with small things, but what can you think that will help you want to, in the A line, say the truth? What can you think? You know, for you, it's just any situation where you're asked to do something. The A is saying just no. Not no and explain it, over explain it, use funny words, all the things that it said in that thing, but to be able to just say no.
I want to think that saying no is better for me in the long term.
Okay.
That's a thought I can believe. Like saying yes would be easy in the short term, but saying no would be better for me in the long term.
Okay. And your brain's just not going to be real happy. I mean, the long term, it's going to be a little difficult. So maybe bring it in just a little bit more.
I want to say yes, but I want to say no more.
Keep going. Keep going, because I really think this, you know, what I think seems true to all of you is this commitment to yourself. Like, I think it rings true to all of you
Mhm.
about what it feels like to honor your own commitments to yourself and when you do it. And when you believe that honoring somebody else's commitment is more important than honoring your own, that's when you get into trouble.
Yeah.
And so, how can you believe that you are more important? Why? Why are you more important? I mean, look at all of us and look at the suffering that comes from not believing that. Like, we're all talking about things that we believe that cause us suffering. And it's coming from not being able to say no. Everything that we've talked about. Like, you're not creating some happy, happy, joy, joy life because you say yes to everybody. That's not what's happening here. It's not like it's, you're trying to stop something that's giving you a negative result. That's what you're trying to stop.
Mhm.
It's not like you're getting some great thing out of this. You're not. You're not getting anything out of it except feeling like shit. You get a momentary when you say yes and somebody says thank you.
Mhm.
That's what you get instead of a what? How come? Or whatever comes up out of that, or a dirty look, or whatever. But I usually find, like, if I just say no thanks, I can't. Usually over. But I like what some of the things that they said in there about just saying, I'm working on saying
Mhm.
no when I mean no. So I would really appreciate if you would just
Understand.
understand.
Mm.
I mean, if you need that, I would love for you not to have to go there. But if you need it, you need to say something other than no. But I think
Yeah,
practicing.
thank you for understanding instead of I'm sorry.
There
Thank
you
you for
go. No, thank you for understanding. I love that. Like, just assuming they understand. I love that. I think that would be great for you, Heidi.
Yeah, I definitely work on that. And I teach my girls that, and I have to tell myself that too. Don't say you're sorry all the time.
Yeah.
Pretend to say
Don't-
sorry all the time.
Yeah.
Just thank you for understanding. Thank
I
you for your
love that. Okay, so that's our A line. Okay, this is for everybody. This is your A line. No, thank you for understanding. Okay, you can either say no, or you can say no, thank you for understanding. You can use one word, or you can use the sentence, and that's it. That's your A line.
I like the thought about there was something in here, but like something about just breathing and pausing before you say yes. Like
You can put that. You can put that in your A line.
Because like my little primitive brain wants to just come in and say yes, and I need a minute to say okay, thank you, but let's think this through before we say yes.
That'll be in your A line too.
Okay.
You can put that in your A line. Pause, think, and respond. Pause, think, say no, thank you for understanding. You still have to decide what you're going to think and feel to do this. Like, we're in the A line right now, and you guys, we don't live in the A line, right? It's always easier to tell you what to do, but to be able to create a model to do it with a result. Like, the result is, honoring your own commitments, feeling good about honoring your own commitment would be a great result, right? Like, I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. Something like, maybe it's like, I'd rather say no and learn to be honest. I'd rather say, like, what in the T line, what would you really rather do? Would you rather say no? And if so, why? I mean, because basically what we're all talking about is that what you would rather do? Like, if there were no repercussions, you'd rather say no.
I'd rather put myself first.
I'd rather put myself first by saying no.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That could be one. See, I just don't know for you if it rings true to put yourself first yet, Heidi.
Well, that's why I said I'd rather.
I know but I like it because it opens up your brain that yes, you would like that, as opposed to I wouldn't like that. I'd rather. By saying no. What else? Let's just think of a few. But we can, normally in our models, we only put one, but because we're working with
Yeah.
multiple people, I just think it's kind of fun and that you guys kind of think about it. But the feeling, how do you want to feel? I think that might be a good place to think about it too. It's like when somebody asks you to do something, how do you want to feel when they ask you?
Free. Freedom.
Powerful.
Powerful.
Ooh. Let's go with powerful and just see. Well, Heidi, if you think I'd rather put myself first by saying no, does that make you feel powerful?
If I could actually do it, yes.
No, if you could actually think it.
Yes, if I could actually, that's what I meant. If I could
Okay,
actually.
so then what you're saying to me is I don't believe that thought. Which is not a very good thought then, because you don't believe it. You just said if I
No.
could think it,
No, I'd
you are
rather put myself first.
Right.
I'm working on putting myself first.
right. So I'd rather put myself first by saying no. How does it make you feel? Negative or positive?
I'm struggling with I put myself first versus I'd rather put myself first.
Well,
Because I'm not there yet.
that's
but
right. That's why I like rather for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You believe it, right? Like, you
I
would rather do that.
I do.
Totally
I do.
100% there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't have to struggle with a different thought. This is the thought. I'd rather put myself first by saying no. How does it make you feel when you think it?
Makes me feel, it's good. It's positive.
Okay, what's the feeling?
Powerful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Content. Powerful.
What about even, I think that if you could come to empowered or powerful, even if it's a powerful, like at a +2, not real strong yet, but just like it's uplifting in your body that when you can think, I'd rather say no. I'd rather put myself first by saying no, and your body just opens up to it. And the feeling is powerful. So, there's powerful +10, really powerful, and there's powerful +1, +2. That's a really good place to start. It just opens you up to like, okay, well, maybe I'll say no. And then deal with the emotion that comes from that, knowing it will come. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say too? I'd rather put myself first by saying no, Michelle.
Well, I'm just getting stuck a little bit because I feel like some of the times I am like, instead of somebody else asking me to do something, it's like I decide, oh, I want to go on a trip, or oh, I want to take a class, or oh, I want to join a book group because I want to do it, but then it's not in my best interest to do it. So sometimes I feel like I'm having to like say no to myself. And I think what I need is like, what I want is I want to give myself time to really think through, why would this be a good thing to do? Why would it be good not to do it? So I feel like I need to give myself some time.
Okay, so stop for a minute because it's a different situation, different circumstance. The circumstance we're talking about here is when somebody's asking you something.
Yeah.
Okay, so when somebody's asking you something, and how do you want to be able to respond with a no? What do you?
I think I'm actually pretty good at this. And what I say to myself is like, I care more about what I think than what they think. Or it's not going to serve me to do that. If it's not going to serve me to do something I don't want to do.
Okay, well, you didn't live there before, so how did you get there?
Well, just untangling all this, like by doing it wrong, quote unquote, and then just having to like untangle it, whether it had to do with overeating because I did something I didn't want to do.
Okay, so I care more. I mean, you believe that you care more about what you think than they think.
Right, I do now.
Oh, I love it.
And part of it too, in the last couple of years, my sister died 2 years ago, and
I know
when she died, I changed my way of thinking about a few things, and I think that's part of it. Like, I don't care what the parents at the on the swim team think if I don't volunteer for something this week? Like,
I know, but what I'm talking to you about is the problems that you have had
yeah,
with people coming or whatever, the things I've coached you on over the last year.
right. The visitors thing is the one that comes to mind.
And going places when you don't want to be going.
Right. Well, and I think too that if it's not really right for me to say yes, then everybody's going to suffer because I'm just going to be bitter and irritable. You know, like if I don't say you can come for 3 days instead of 10, then the 10 days aren't going to be fun for anybody because if
We
I'm
don't know
thinking
that.
about,
We don't know that.
well,
We
yeah,
don't know what anybody else is going to think. You can't put that in your R line. It's about you.
yeah,
How are you going to be for 10 days? That's all that matters.
yeah.
Right?
Pissy, and then feel more guilt because I'm pissy and I'm like, I should have just said no.
I care more about what I think than they think.
Mm-hmm.
So is that where you pretty much live now?
Yeah, most of the
Good.
time.
Good. So it's a great thought that anybody wants to borrow it. If they can go there, I care, or, and if you can't go there, you can be in the process of being there. Like it's possible that I can care more about what I think than they think. I mean, at least open up your mind to the possibility that you can do this. I think it's really important. And then the other thing is to know, and Marie, I think that's where you get a little stuck, is that you believe that these things that you're doing charitable wise, community wise, somehow it's something that you really want to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you all get like, I really want to do it. I love to do it. It's really blah, blah, blah. But you can love to do it and sometimes have to say no.
No. Mm-hmm.
You can love and be passionate about doing this for your community, but realize there's just no room to do it.
Yeah,
And that
there's
you
no
have to
time.
say no. It doesn't mean say no forever. It just means here. And that I'd rather put myself first by saying no. It is putting yourself first. Can you feel the feeling inside of you when you know it's a no? And then can you take that pause before you open your mouth? And one of the things that you can do before we end today, when you take that pause, it could be just as simple as I'll think about it and I'll get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a
That's a-
whole lot better than saying anything.
Mhm.
And that still will follow. I'd rather put myself first by saying no, or I care more about what I think than they think. And so it's just a pause before you make a decision. Your decision could be the next day or whatever, or it can be a pause and then you can say no. But just figure out where you are and what you need. I want you to really think about this all for your new year, about how to be less of an approval whore and more about being your own, what do you call it? Like your own best friend, but I'm thinking of a different word, but I don't know what that word is. But it's like, you know how for a lot of us with our children, sometimes we just have to stand up for our children and because they're too young or whatever, and we have to do for them what they can't do for themselves. How can you do that for yourself?
Paula says advocate.
There you go. Advocate. Thank you. How can you be an advocate for yourself? And maybe that goes in your thought line. Is I want to be a bigger advocate for myself than for
I'm my
myself.
own best advocate.
Yeah, I'm my own best advocate. Oh my God, I got chills. I love that. Does anybody else love that?
Yes.
Can you use that?
Yes.
Okay. I like that the best. I would put that in there. I'm my own.
Best advocate.
And if you don't believe you are right now, then it's possible that I can be my own best advocate. I'm in the process of becoming my own best advocate, but repeat it. Use it. Every day you have to practice the thought because otherwise all the other thoughts come in that sound like such great ideas. Oh, I got this great idea.
Yeah.
And it sounds like so great, so much easier. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, so the next call that we have is not going to be the third Thursday. It's going to be the fourth Thursday. I think it's the 23rd and it's in the notes.
Okay.
and think about how you want to go for these next 3 weeks, and we'll check back. And the other thing that for those of you, if you're working on protocols, I really like the obesity code for working on intermittent fasting.
What is that, a book?
It's called the obesity code.
Better pass.
And I like it because of his explanation of intermittent fasting and how it balances hormones in the body. And I think that if you already have a protocol that you really like that works, I think it's fine. But I also think that one of the things that probably one of the very few things that I've changed over the last 4 or 5 years is that.
Is what?
Going into intermittent fasting.
Oh, I see.
I love it. I'm back on for the last few days, and I love it. It's so freeing, I think. But I want to get this.
It's a really great thought for you to think that. And then, like I've done it for the past few days, you really have to think of a thought that's stronger why you're going to continue doing it.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the thing with anything is that when you do it in the beginning, it really takes a while for your body to start balancing itself. It really does when it comes to something like that. And it's really not necessary that you even have to use it. But if you're interested in something that will help balance hormones, I really do believe that this is a possibility. I like it. But it's also not necessary. All right, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
I will
Thanks,
see you in about 4 weeks. I'm going to go to Costa Rica. So
Have
Boy,
fun.
have fun.
I'll see you when I come back.
Have fun.
Okay, see you on the 23rd.
Bye. The 23rd.
Bye.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.